Maybe switch out the shot. I heard your
That was
voice.
funny. I was gonna say.
Recording in progress.
Oh, we don't need Zoom for work session.
Not a.
There's no Zoom for work session.
There is something recorded.
Good call, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are we going to scan his mention box? But no, just no permits. Just
Oh, that was the other thing. I had to put you in contact with them on. Oh, I'll talk to you after.
Of course, Kevin is fully.
Very live?
Yeah.
Okay.
checked with him this time,
I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Certainly. Supervisor Moore,
Here.
Councilwoman McNamara.
Here.
Councilman Iacilli.
Here.
All right, thank you. So we're going to start the work session with a discussion on beach parking restrictions. And Kristen Doulos is here with us, from the Parks Director. Come on up and join us, please.
I have some spreadsheets here that lay out the existing parking conditions. It's front and back.
Thank you.
You have copy steps in there? Sure. You did. Are you probably, is that what the red was on there?
You've got to leave, right? Yeah.
If they say draft.
So,
Thank you.
so good morning, everyone. Thanks for seeing me. I know it's February, but we're already in full throttle, getting ready for the beaches.
Yeah.
And so we currently have 46 locations that are parking by permit that we are responsible for posting signage on. There's, in those 46 locations, there's 7 different sign types. So it gets very difficult and confusing, both from the standpoint of maintaining the signage and also for the traffic control officers to kind of know what all these rules and regulations are in each particular location. So
Confusing for the public too.
And for the public, yes. Sometimes they think that they're okay parking somewhere because, you know, another place has a less restrictive rule, and then they come to find out that that's not the case in this other street. So we had thought about standardizing these timelines prior to COVID. Then COVID hit and things became more restrictive. So we were actually putting sticker decals over every single sign. So you take 46 locations multiplied by, you figure, 10 signs per location. I mean, 400 to 500 decals. Those decals are now falling off. They, you can't really, well, we actually took them off when the COVID restrictions went away. So the signs need to be replaced, a lot of them, which is why this is a good time to decide if we're going to do any type of new signage. So COVID hit, like I said, we went a little bit more restrictive, but also at that time, some additional roads that had never had parking by permit restrictions on them got brought into the code because people were having difficulty getting to beach locations because of all of the restrictions. So they were finding road ends that didn't have restrictions on them. So the town board at that time opted to put restrictions in certain locations, and they were even broader timelines than our typical ones. They went from April 1st to September 30th. So again, it's what those factors lent themselves to these varied dates and times at each location, which again, I'll say, hey, maintenance, you know, we need a couple of signs at, you know, Road K, and they'll accidentally grab a sign for, you know, Wildwood Park, which has a totally different parking restriction on it than, so that's another thing is we've really been working on bringing up our sign inventory and trying to reconcile all the signage we have, because we don't just have parking signage. Every beach also has dog rules and no idling and no smoking and the beach rules themselves and, you know, unprotected waterfront. So you could imagine the amount of signage we have and how easy it would be to start mixing up what belongs in each of these particular 46 locations. So my recommendations would be to try to standardize it to the May 15th to September 15th timeline as much as possible. It's interesting because the trustees in their code actually have for their trustee parking permit the May 15th to September 15th timeline on their trustee road ends. But our signage is on those road ends because it's also in chapter 312 of the code.
So none of these look like they're already at May 15th to September 15th.
No.
I agree with standardizing, and I also agree with the bringing it back to May 15 and extending it to September.
It makes it a little more restrictive on some of the existing roads, and it makes it less restrictive on some of those road ends that are now
Especially
April
those that
30th
are
to
April
September
30th.
30th.
It's just crazy. I mean, we don't need that anymore, I don't think. That was a COVID issue.
Yeah.
But not Memorial Day, you just do it a couple weeks before, May 15th.
Yeah. Memorial Day moves, and so it's nice to have like a firm date in place for us.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. And
So
not Labor Day, but the 15th, okay.
yeah, because the season has extended as well past what it used to be, and you know, for example, sometimes we keep the beaches open with lifeguards. We've done that. We did that last year at Ponquag. A couple of years ago, we did it at a couple of the beaches when we had more staff available. So what's happening is when we do that, people don't even need a permit at that point, but yet we're still staffing the beach.
And I feel like the 2 weeks before and the 2 weeks after is, you know, you're not just using the beach for those 2 weeks. You're going to get a pass for this season anyway at that point.
Right.
So
The other thing I want to note is if you have a beach permit for, like I bought my 2024 beach permit, it's valid through June 30th of 25. So even though it's moving it back to May 15th, like you still
your
have
permit
time
is still good until
to
June
get your
30th.
permit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you have some in blue here that say, put in chapter 312?
It's not there.
So correct. The blue ones are not in 312, but yet we have signage there saying that it's parking by permit.
So we'd be adding it.
Right.
Okay.
So it'd be correcting that. It is in the trustee code, but it's a different timeline. So another thing that happened,
That's okay.
throughout time is, you know, sometimes there's some vocal community members and you get a call and it says, hey, can you put a sign on this road? And a sign would go up because TCOs will generally go by signage, and it never got like reconciled in the code. So there's a little bit of that too. Not a lot, but like in one or two spots. So it would just be kind of bringing everything correct. I spoke with Carl, who's in charge of the traffic control officers. He's all for anything that's more efficient and easier. And
you reached out to the trustees as well.
I reach out to the trustees. Scott, you know, he's thinks, again, anything that makes sense is good. He suggested I come into their next work session at the beginning of March. I've also spoken with the highway department, and they'll work with us in printing all these signs so that we could do them all in-house, which will save probably tens of thousands of dollars. So we have the pieces in place if everybody's on board with it.
This totally makes sense. It's so confusing right now. Just as a resident, or I mean, it's like some you can't park at after April 30th. Some are July 1st. Some are May. I mean, it's just nobody knows. And this way, you can say our beaches are May 15th, September 15th.
It should be
you need a
uniform.
permit.
And our head of maintenance.
And you
yeah.
can buy the signs all at once
Yeah,
and
exactly.
not have to
It's
worry
one
about
sign.
ordering. Yeah. What are you recommending about the times?
I would keep the times as they are. So the
Mhm.
recommendations I have are just, I think, all to do with the dates.
Well, then you
Um,
would have to have different signs, right?
Yeah, but it's mostly either the
Bathing
the 9 to
beaches.
9 are the lifeguarded beaches. The 9 to 6 are all the access roads.
The only one I see that's different is Gibson Lane.
Because that's in the village of Sagaponic, and that's what they want at their beach.
Okay.
So 9 to 9 are the
That's the only one.
lifeguard beaches?
Yes.
But the guards aren't on duty after 5, are they?
No, but the permit is required until 9 p.m. at the
Which
bathing
does
beaches.
which it holds down on people coming to the beach and then staying and
Hmm.
having parties and
And the ones in the bathing beach parking lots are usually on one or two main signs at the entrances, whereas the ones on the access roads are all along. They're 12 by 18 signs that are on the road ends. So it generally just be the 9 to 6 p.m. 12 by 18s.
and then we'd have to update the code to.
Yes, so certain portions of particularly Chapter 312, parking by permit, would have to be amended.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of different sections of the code, but we could just have a public hearing to address all of them. Huh, okay, so,
But I mean, there's going to be some people that are not going to be happy because they're going to be losing some time on their road ends, and some people are going to be gaining some time. So it for enforcement, I think this makes sense. And for residents, to get a ticket and go, well, I thought, and it's like, no, and that's not this beach, that's that beach. It's
But let's say somebody lives near a road end beach, right? They can still go to that beach after hours, right? It doesn't prohibit
Right.
them from doing that.
Right, it's just you would need that permit between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m.
Right.
And then sometimes there's additional signage on the road and saying no parking past whatever time. That's usually a highway sign.
Right. So it's like from your point, it's an enforcement of you can't be parked there after a certain time.
Mm-hmm.
and then Wildwood is different.
Wildwood, yes, is the one that the town board in the past year or two put the 24-hour 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. restriction on, and then 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. there's no parking there.
but that's its own
where's it say that?
situation that we're
Right.
trying to correct.
Very much so.
A
Yeah.
very bad. I mean, we just did a whole public hearing and we changed parking restrictions on the roads around there. So that's trying to control that beach for the amount of people that can safely utilize it.
Yeah, there's a couple of outliers that I didn't recommend a change on, that being one of them for now,
Mhm.
anyway.
And that may come back into
Yeah.
line with everything down the road when we get the situation that's currently there under control.
Mhm.
I'm fine
So
with
if
this.
somebody arrives at, what time do the beaches get staffed, at 9?
Yes.
So if somebody were to arrive at 8:30 and no one's there, and they pull in but they don't have a sticker, do we patrol during the day to see if anybody's there
Yes.
and shouldn't be?
Mhm.
Sometimes people do that. They'll go early before anyone's there, right?
Yeah, we usually get them in those situations.
But there's a lot of them too that go there at 8
Yeah.
o'clock in the morning just to go for a walk.
Right.
And they're
Yeah.
off the beach by
Then
9
they
o'clock
have
and
to
they know
go.
they gotta be out.
Yeah. Generally, if there's cars in the lot when the staff gets there, they'll walk around and see if there's any unpermitted vehicles, and they'll kind of, keep an eye on them. And then if they don't leave, they'll call for a TCO. It's not usually a big problem.
I thought that one of the issues with the road ends was that we wanted to say no parking in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's
this
right.
isn't addressing that. This is
That's a
just saying.
different part of the code. This is just speaking to the parking by permit. And then there are some no parking past a certain time restrictions that aren't in this chart.
And the road ends end at 6 because they're not protected waterfronts, right? There's no lifeguard there. But there are a lot of people that at 6:15, 6:30 will go to these beaches with their family. I mean, think about it. In the summer, there's hours of light left. People
Oh,
get
yeah.
done with work. You know, they're not using our beaches, they're
7 o'clock sunsets.
yeah. So, I mean, we still want people to be able to enjoy a resource that we all share and not have it, you know, some people, a $50 permit is a lot. And this allows them to still have some access to these facilities and
But does all the road ends have the rule that no overnight in the car, like from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m.?
if they're in a residential district.
Yes, if it's on a residential road, you can't park on the road between 1 and 6. Yeah, so
We should make sure that any updates that we make, though, does work in tandem with the overnight restrictions that we're looking at, right? Is that what you're saying? We should make sure that it's.
I had started making more columns for the seasonal no parking
Yeah,
and all
yeah.
that to try to like give a bigger picture. But I didn't get through all of it.
That's okay.
Well, it's a good start. This is something we can implement now.
I know our head of maintenance will be very happy. For years, he's been saying, "Can't we have one sign?" And I say, "No, we can't because there's different restrictions in the code." So if this happens, he'll be very happy.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I can't even imagine all the different boxes of different signs that, you know. So
It's a lot.
standardization's the way to go here for this.
I feel like if we're in a spot where we gotta update a lot of these signs because they're, you know, no longer readable or rusted out or whatever, like now's a good time.
All right, let's do it. So Jim, who would do, we'd have to schedule a public hearing, right?
For the parking.
Yeah, whether we have to do
Sean
a
thing.
separate public hearing for both,
Kelly
Kelly.
you have to do a
Katie
separate public
Parks.
hearing, Jim, for both code sections, or can we fold it into one? Well, you can work that out
Yeah,
with them.
And I think Scott does want me to come to their work session at the beginning of March.
Okay.
Just to ensure that, you know, everybody's good with it.
Do that
but-
first and then.
Yeah, like I said, it's in their code for
Mhm.
their trustee parking permit.
Mhm.
So I think they'll be okay, but he just wanted to, you know, go through that
Review
process.
it.
So, but you know, he strongly suggested that we carry forth in the meantime.
So we could on our 25th meeting, notice a public hearing for
Yeah.
that meeting in March.
Yeah.
It's just a
Contingent
public
on what the
hearing,
trustees
it's a
have to
public
say,
hearing,
yeah.
so.
Then you have time to order all your signs.
Mhm. Yeah, no, it's great. The highway department has been awesome, so cooperative. They've been making a lot of our signs the past couple of years. It's a huge cost savings. It's a time savings.
I
So.
feel like when I asked you this,
The
you were
highway
like, you
department
were,
makes the signs?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
I feel like when I
Oh.
asked you about this, you were like relieved. It was like, yes, let's do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and I, because I was like, ooh, this is going to be a lot of science. Do you think you guys will still be able to do it? You know, we could buy the materials and things. And he said, absolutely, anything you need.
Aren't they something?
Yeah.
That's great to know.
I'm good with this.
Yeah, thank you for coming to explain it all and working with Cindy on this.
Like I said, some people are going to be happy and some people are not. But, you know, it's
yeah.
what's best for the town, I believe, overall.
Yeah.
The first year might be a little tough. And also the TCOs, you know, typically when there's a change like this, they'll be a little lenient
Mhm.
at the beginning, you
Yeah.
know.
Give people warnings.
Right.
Like you said, watch out for people, like you said in the mornings. And,
Yeah.
let them finish their walk. And
Do you
Just give
think
them
you'd
one.
be able to come to a work session in March to give us an update on the projects for the Parks Department?
Sure.
You and Daryl, maybe?
I would be very happy to do that,
Oh,
yes. Yeah. Yeah, we'll have a lot of updates for you, so,
You guys do a great job with your capital projects.
thank you.
Yeah, they've got some good ones in the queue for this year.
Yeah, we
We're
do.
looking forward to it.
Yep.
And the one for what's it called? The West Hampton.
Hampton West?
Yeah, Hampton West.
Mhm.
That, I mean, I really would like us to apply for that grant in June because we can
Right.
get 50% of the cost up to $675,000. But we need the design, and there's $100,000 in the budget for the design prep. So you'd have to, not go out to bid. You could probably get someone off our list for that.
Correct, yeah, so we're in the process of finishing up those scope of services to put out to the professional service providers that are on the town's contract list.
Good.
And I just want to say thank you. Kristen came last night to our East Quogue CAC meeting.
Oh.
East Quogue community is talking about potentially doing a park district. We're at the very, very beginning stages, and Kristen's input was helpful to everybody as to the scope of what would be permitted to be done with that and how it would work and help the park out, the park department out with, upkeep and maintenance of
Yeah, how many
facilities
park
as well.
districts are there?
3 currently.
Mm-hmm. And it's beneficial to have them because then, the community pays an extra tax.
Right.
It's more equitable.
It's it allows for the community to have things that are above and beyond what we could do on a ordinary maintenance level. We go in, we cut grass, we trim bushes. But if they want ornamental gardens and grasses or hanging baskets throughout the downtown and urns, the park districts have helped fund those sorts of things. Maintenance of the medians, which are typically New York State or the county. The groups, not-for-profit groups, can apply for those grants through the district as well, and do that sort of work. Also, it helps the way the town has been utilizing it to help a lot of the historic property stewards in the town. So it helps them pay the bills at places like the Prosper King House and Liaison Hat Shop and the Bridgehampton Museum and those sorts of BB Windmill. So it's very community specific, historic properties that it helps steward as well.
But they hire someone to do the work. You don't have to get involved with it.
Right. So they get this money and then they're able to hire a landscaper to pay their phone bill to, if they have to plant grass or put in irrigation and things like that. They submit requests each year that go through the budget process. And then you guys also have a resolution that you adopt to enter into contract with these individual
Like we
groups.
just did with Bridgehampton when we removed a part of the funding that we were questioning.
Oh, yeah.
So we have the ultimate,
That's good.
Right. And then they also have to provide how they spent the funds that were allocated to them each year.
Yeah. Well, if they're interested and there's enough people that are,
And they could
They
be,
would have to go to a
Was there-
vote.
yeah, was there a good turnout at the meeting?
Yeah, I mean, we had representation from the Historical Society, the Civic, the Beautification,
The chamber.
the Chamber. Yeah, Brian was there. I mean, it was pretty much every community group, I think, in East Quogue, and it's actually nice because, there's been some tension and conflict in East Quogue over the years, and it was nice last night to see everybody come together behind something, and and I basically said that to them, like, listen, the board's not going to put this on for a vote if there isn't buy-in from the whole community, and it seems like all of the groups within the community are so far supportive of at least getting it to a general vote, but they're working right now on budgets and how much they would want to request, and then we can get them further breakdowns on what it would actually cost the taxpayers.
an outside entity could contribute to that park district, make a donation to it. I'm just thinking.
That would be a question more for you.
Yeah, I'm just thinking. Yeah.
Well, I said I had a comment.
Legislation,
Well, I told them last
Yeah,
night. I
I
said,
believe
we
that.
had somebody come in with a design. I think it was like LaGuardia actually. Pro bono just did a design for a refresh of the Village Green, and Kristen and I looked at it and we're like, "This is absolutely beautiful," but these are all ornamental plantings and they're very, high maintenance, and actually took it to a few people in the community that have, landscaping companies that were like, I would donate material for this, but I'm not going to donate material for this if you can't provide the level of maintenance required to keep it up.
Right.
So having a park district will help with that too. I think there'll be more buy-in from the community to say, okay, we'll make an investment, but now that we know that it's going to be maintained to the standard that we would like.
So that does not have to be prevailing wage?
It does.
Yes.
Oh, it still does.
Yes.
That can
Yeah,
help.
interesting. 'Cause that,
They wrote a check for squeeze them all they
all
should.
right, so why don't you two connect on a date for March? Thank you. Thanks. Did you have any questions for us or anything you wanted to?
I don't think so.
This is a big deal.
It
It'd be
is.
nice to get that done.
Yeah, I think it'll be helpful on a few different levels, so
Yeah.
thank you for listening.
Yeah, and if there's other things too that occur to you that you think can make things more streamlined or seamless, let us know.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Do updates?
Yeah, let's do
That's
the updates.
I actually heard from Superintendent Lars Clemenson this morning.
Me too.
Handle with Care went live on Monday, and
He
they got
texted
their
me.
first update last night, so the teachers were ready to go. And, you know, he wanted to say kudos to the officer who at 10:30 last night, you know, relied on his training and put it into the system. And, you know, they had their information this morning to, you know, that's
Handle with care.
Exactly.
This is a great pilot.
So
I feel good
it's
about
already
it. I
working.
think it's gonna work, yeah.
week 1. So.
Great.
I just want to thank, you know, Chief and Superintendent Clemenson for really spearheading this. And I do see, I mean, like I said, I wanted this to go live to everybody, but I understand the pilot and working out the kinks in one district, but it seems like week
Yeah.
1 we're doing
Yeah,
good.
it's working already. So yeah, once we are all comfortable with it, we'll do it in all the schools.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were gonna talk about what we
Which-
just mentioned,
with Kristen,
about the
the
Park
Parks District.
District.
With that CAC.
Yeah, it's so important to keep up with the landscaping. I know it's, you know, sometimes like in West Hampton Beach with the Main Street, we added so much to it. Now the DPW has a lot to manage. So I know I always thought about maybe some kind of a district or like the, you know, some kind of consortium or something to make sure that it's kept
Everything
up
is
with.
nice,
'Cause
yeah.
otherwise,
It's, I mean, because it does. I mean, in the Hamlets, sometimes I feel like, you know, the villages have this extra layer of, you know, beautification that they don't really get, and that they're willing to self-fund it. You know, right now, I said to them last night, I said, you know, like somebody said, well, it was probably only like $8 for the average home. And I said, yeah, I was like, but that's $8 for you guys in this room that are here at the meetings, and you're the ones that are volunteering your time right now to go out and weed, and you're saying it's totally worth $8 for me to not go weed those trees anymore. And somebody else is sitting home that doesn't put in the volunteer hours going, I don't want to pay $8 for that.
yeah.
You know, so we'll see. And I
There'll be a
think,
lot of outreach to make
I
sure
think,
everyone's aware.
yeah, and I think the community will support it, and I think it'll be a good thing. And, you know, the only other thing I wanted to mention, you and I, on, what day was it, Tuesday, had our meeting about the land management software upgrade.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was gonna talk about. That's good.
Yeah, and we're down to 2 potential software.
Yeah, so we have a group with IT, land management, and Cindy is the liaison and I, and we've been meeting to go through different software, new software that's really gonna help with the streamlining the services in the building department and the other land management departments. So, right, we're down to 2, and we're just doing a side-by-side analysis, and then we'll bring it to the board. And hopefully everyone will agree that this will be a big step forward for that department.
And it's not just land management, it's also code enforcement, which is
right.
key, because this way, if a permit comes in for something, it gets an automatic, or somebody tries to go into the system and upload plans to get a permit for something, they'll get an immediate, like, stop, you know, there's a notice of violation on your property, we're not processing anything, contact code enforcement. So I think it'll be good, because it gets everybody together, everybody can see what everybody's working on. Both versions of the software we're looking at have a lot of inter-office communication that's
good.
available on the actual platform, and then also the homeowners can actually write in directly on their account. They can invite, you know, contractors or whoever they want in to be a part of the process. So
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
it'll be great.
They look user-friendly for the consumers, but also I think the employees are gonna really appreciate it once the, you know, learning curve,
Great.
because it'll make things easier all around. So, yeah, we're excited about that. All right, ahead of schedule.
Well,
What you got, Mike?
just 2 things.
You got a half an hour.
Okay, great. All right, Jim, you ready? Sit tight. No, last week I was at the Hampton Bays Alliance meeting, and I attended that meeting with Tom Neely. We talked about the road review committee. Tom was very it provided a very educational framework on what the road review committee does. Talked about Town Law 200, and then we talked about also the traffic mitigation and safety task force, some of the work that we've been doing. And I actually will say on that note, the report is really coming together nicely.
Oh, good.
And eventually, Charlie, Tom, and we'll see who else wants to join. Will join us for a work session to present the draft report for all of you. And then last night I was at the Noyak Civic, and I joined that Civic with Charlie McCardle as well as Legislator Welker, and we talked about a number of updates for Noyak, including the Noyak repaving project, which is slated for spring of this year. And it's going to go through multiple phases. Phase 1 will, of course, commence in spring, which takes Noyak Road from North Sea Road to Deerfield Road. And we talked about a number of other different issues in the community. It was great to see everybody, and that was really it.
That's a big paving project, and that's why we had to break it up into two.
It is a big paving project, but
two parts.
But it'll actually go pretty seamlessly. And there's a couple of other traffic matters on Noyak Road that Charlie and and I are working on, and we're paying attention to Noyak as well. Because some of the folks feel that we need to really make sure.
And then it's also being done in conjunction with the
pedestrian safety improvement
and the trout pond culvert,
the trout pond
fish ladder.
Yeah, there's a lot of projects for Noyak.
Mm-hmm.
The it's not really a traffic circle, but the near Long Beach over there, the intersection, they're gonna for the westbound traffic, they want to put a stop sign there, so that the traffic is more regulated in a way that's safer. For eastbound traffic, it won't be. It'll be fine. It'll be the same. But and Charlie's working on that with Legislator Welker.
Is there a yield sign there now?
No, but there's going to be added signage so that people understand what the pattern is. And Charlie is really working on that. The pedestrian safety improvement project, which is a completely separate project, that's, I believe, according to Nick Jimenez, that's slated for 26. That's with all the grant funding. That's
because we got the grants, which we're so grateful for, but it's another level of review from the state now.
Yeah, correct.
Same thing with the water district.
But if there's things we could do now to enhance the...
It really is amazing how quick paving projects go now.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be very quick.
Yeah.
What's the date? Is there actually a date?
For the repaving?
Yeah.
It's just
Memorial
spring.
Day week.
Just in the
Just
spring.
Just spring. But Mark and Charlie are confident that they could get it done in less than a couple of weeks.
It really is. The way the machines process and go through now and
Yeah.
they lay down as they're pulling up, it's kind of seamless.
One day,
Yeah.
a couple of hours. So.
Yeah.
But also, you got to factor in weather. If the weather's bad, there
Are
could
they
be
doing
some
drainage as well?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, there will be
There
some.
it
So
is.
that'll be the time.
That's why.
Correct. So the people of Noyak are very happy about that.
Good.
All right. Well,
That's all I have.
that's good stuff. Okay. Well, I wish everyone a happy Valentine's Day tomorrow. And if there's no other comments, then I move to close the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
We're going to.
Oh. We're going to go to executives. I move to go into executive session for personnel and acquisitions and then close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Same second, same vote.
You want to keep.